Hey there, have you ever wondered how our ancestors actually hunted mammoths? Imagine a harsh ice age. Colossal creatures dominated vast grasslands. This world was shaped by immense glaciers. They covered vast stretches of land. This created biting winds and an unforgiving landscape. Food sources, though present, required immense effort to secure. Survival was a constant struggle against the elements. Among the giants of this frigid world, the most prominent was undoubtedly the woolly mammoth. This magnificent animal could stand up to 4 meters tall. It weighed between 6 to 8 tons. It possessed a thick hide, insulated by dense fur. This made it incredibly resilient to the biting cold. Their long, curved tusks were formidable defensive weapons. They were capable of impaling any threat. These tusks were also powerful tools for clearing snow and foraging. Mammoths were incredibly fierce when threatened. They often charged with devastating force. Confronting them seemed an almost impossible task for humans of that time. Our ancestors, however, were vastly different from these behemoths. Physically, they were dwarfed by the mammoths. They lacked raw power, thick hide, or natural weaponry. They couldn't directly engage such a beast. They hadn't yet mastered fire. Fire was the ultimate tool for warmth, cooking, and protection. Their weaponry consisted of only the crudest tools. These were forged from their environment. They used spears crafted from roughly chipped stone, painstakingly sharpened by hand. There were also sturdy wooden lances. Sometimes, these were fire-hardened at their tips if they encountered natural fires. Such fires were rare and uncontrollable. Or, they used cleverly arranged rock traps. Constructing these required immense effort. How then could they possibly contend with a giant like the mammoth? They had such limited resources and inherent physical disadvantages. The answer lay not in individual might. It lay in two crucial, uniquely human elements: their developing intelligence and their unparalleled capacity for collective unity. Every mammoth hunt was a meticulously planned operation. It was a complex dance. It demanded seamless coordination from the entire tribe. This was a venture so dangerous that individual bravery alone was suicidal. No one hunted alone. Personal strength was utterly insufficient to bring down such a massive creature. Every single member, from the youngest watchful eye to the strongest spear thrower, had a distinct and vital role. Each contributed to a shared goal of survival. First, there was the scouting party. These were the most experienced and patient individuals. They possessed keen tracking skills. They had an intimate knowledge of the terrain and animal behavior. They would spend days, sometimes weeks, patiently observing and locating the mammoth herds. Often, they crawled through dense foliage or across icy plains. Their mission was precise: pinpoint the exact location and estimate the numbers. Most importantly, they had to identify the most vulnerable target within the herd. Perhaps it was an old mammoth, weakened by age or illness. It could be an individual that had strayed slightly. Or it might be a young, inexperienced calf that offered a less formidable challenge. This initial reconnaissance was the cornerstone of the entire operation. Next came the lure party. Once a target was chosen, a few courageous and agile individuals would execute the perilous task of drawing the mammoth away. They would skillfully attract the target mammoth's attention. This was done with shouts or strategic movements. Then, they would lead it, carefully and cautiously, away from the protection of the main herd. This was an extremely dangerous assignment. It required not just bravery, but also exceptional speed. They needed an intuitive understanding of the animal's movements. A single misstep could mean instant death. When the mammoth was successfully separated and vulnerable, the main attack group would burst forth from their hidden positions. Armed with their sharp stone spears and wooden lances, they would converge. They aimed for the mammoth's most vulnerable points: its belly, less protected by fur and hide; its eyes, to blind and disorient it; or its powerful legs, to cripple its movement. Every thrust of a spear had to be precise. It drew upon every ounce of strength. Each was delivered with the desperate hope of inflicting a debilitating wound. Finally, there was the support group. These individuals didn't directly engage the mammoth with spears. Instead, they played an equally crucial role. They focused on creating and utilizing traps. They leveraged the natural terrain to their advantage. This might involve driving the mammoth into a pre-selected muddy bog. There, its immense weight would cause it to sink and struggle. Or they expertly herded it down a treacherous rocky slope. There, it might stumble and break a leg. They might also spring cleverly camouflaged rock traps designed to crush or maim. All these complex actions were coordinated through a sophisticated system of simple yet incredibly effective signals. These included a series of distinct hoots, sharp calls, or prearranged hand gestures. This was not merely a spontaneous confrontation. It was a complex, multifaceted strategy. It demonstrated the superior collective intelligence and forward thinking of these early humans. And then, the decisive moment arrived. A lone mammoth, perhaps slightly separated from its herd, showed a subtle limp in its hind leg. It became the prime target. The lure party cautiously approached, making just enough noise to gain its attention. The mammoth, sensing danger, let out a thunderous roar. It broke away from its herd and gave chase. It was completely unaware that it was being led directly into a meticulously prepared ambush. As the colossal animal plunged deep into a pre-selected muddy bog, its immense weight caused it to sink. This significantly hampered its power and speed. The main attack group immediately burst forth from their concealed positions among the bushes. They lunged forward with their sharpened spears, the air filled with the mammoth's enraged bellows. There were the desperate guttural gasps of the hunters, and there was the sickening sound of stone and wood piercing thick hide, a primal, tense symphony of survival. A few hunters were inevitably injured in the chaotic struggle. They quickly retreated, their comrades stepping forward to fill the gap. There was no surrender. The entire tribe collectively exerted their last ounce of strength. Spear after spear was hurled, trap after trap was triggered. The colossal mammoth, despite its incredible power and ferocity, could not withstand the relentless persistence, the combined strategy, and the sheer will of an entire unified community. Finally, riddled with countless wounds and utterly ensnared in the bog, the giant collapsed. This brought a hard-won end to the arduous confrontation. The hunt was over, but the work was far from finished. To fully utilize this precious and substantial food source, the entire tribe immediately set to work. Meat was meticulously cut into large, manageable pieces. Bones were carefully cracked for their nutrient-rich marrow. The mammoth's thick, valuable hide was skillfully stripped. It was destined to become essential clothing or durable shelter. Without fire, the critical task of preserving such a vast quantity of meat presented a major challenge. They employed ingenious, natural methods. Meat might be thinly sliced and carefully laid out to dry under the harsh sun and constant wind. This created a form of jerky. Alternatively, in the frozen landscapes, large portions could be buried deep within naturally frozen ground. This created a primitive cold storage. In extremely rare instances, if they encountered a natural forest fire, they might have briefly utilized its smoke for a light curing. This helped to preserve the meat for a slightly extended period. The sharing of the mammoth meat was a ritualistic and deeply equitable process. It ensured that every single person within the tribe, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, received their vital portion. This wasn't just a practical activity for sustenance. It also held immense cultural and social significance. After every successful hunt, which was a monumental achievement, tribes often held solemn ceremonies. They gave thanks to the heavens, to their ancestors who guided them, and even to the spirit of the mammoth itself, respecting the life they had taken. They believed that the spirit of this majestic animal would bless future hunts and bring continued prosperity to their tightly knit community. Before fire was discovered, human survival wasn't solely about brute strength. It was a profound story of unity, intelligence, and unwavering courage. The mammoth may have ruled the Ice Age, but the tribe, through its incredible ingenuity and cooperation, ruled the hunt. In our next episode, we'll delve deeper into the daily lives of these ancient tribes. We'll discover how they survived the chilling nights and dark winters, completely without the comforting warmth and light of fire. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to see what comes next.